What's up, awesome listeners? Time to ignite your potential. Welcome to the Daily Minds podcast. We're thrilled to have you on this incredible journey of growth, learning, and empowerment. At Daily Minds, we believe in the power of knowledge and its impact on our lives. Whether you're here for business insights, better mental health, or pure inspiration, you've hit the jackpot. Our mission? To provide valuable content that not only informs but also inspires action. Each episode is crafted with care, offering expert advice, personal stories, and practical tips you can use every day. Remember, every step towards self-improvement is a step towards a brighter future. We're here to support, guide, and cheer you on through your personal and professional journey. Thanks for being part of our community. Let's grow together, learn together, and make a difference together. Stay inspired and keep listening.
Yes, hello everyone. Welcome once again to the Dead Minds podcast. Today we have another guest who's called Daniel, but I don't know how to spell the other name. So Daniel, can you begin with the introduction and teach me how to spell the other name?
Sure. Thanks for having me on, Anadli. It's Daniel Dluzneski. You just pronounce all the letters. And yeah, it looks difficult. Looks like something silent, but no, you pronounce all the letters. Dluzneski.
Okay, I'm going to take Daniel. It's okay. So we can begin by your introduction about your background, about who you are and what you do.
Okay. Well, I started a long time ago with the Secret Service. I did almost 25 years there, 24 years and a few more months. When I retired there, I moved down here to Florida, and I was just going to retire. And being an alpha personality, I just needed something to do. And my wife at the time said, here we've got, there's an opening at the county school system, and it fit my resume. And I applied and got in, and just became a huge part of school safety. It was 140 schools. It's a very dense county. There's 104,000 students just in this county alone. And it was very diverse, and it worked out. So for 4 years I was there. We did a lot of good stuff. There was a lot of things I suggested that had to go through a bureaucracy that didn't work out too well, but we did get some things done. And I was proud of what we did. After Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, I don't know if you're familiar with that shooting at that high school, but that was in Florida. That was over on the East Coast. I'm over on the West Coast. And the Florida legislature decided at that time that no longer they wanted civilians in that position of emergency management. They wanted the county or state or city police to take over doing school safety and security. And I disagreed with that. So I left. And I just became a consultant. And now here's what I'm doing. I go on podcasts. I wrote a book. I go to some conferences, just try to keep my foot in it, and just try to get the message out there that the basic general idea of school safety is to train your people to drill correctly and to stay in a lockdown. And that's my main focus.
Okay, so what were some of the most challenging situations that you faced while serving in the Secret Service? And how did they shape your approach to safety?
The challenges with the Secret Service it was obviously completely different. I was stationed in Washington, D.C. the entire time of my career. And the challenges there, depending on what rank you were. If you were an officer, your challenges there basically was just to get through the day without any kind of incident. I mean, the training we had provided us with enough to know what we needed to do if something happened. So as an officer, you're just trying to get through the day, do your job, whatever post you're on, whether you're in the outer perimeter of the White House or you're inside the White House, wherever you're at, you just try to get through the day and find out what intelligence is out there that may affect where you're at. Sometimes you'd get intelligence where on the north side, which is the Pennsylvania Avenue side, there was going to be a protest, or they had heard in intelligence someone's going to present a letter, or someone was going to jump the fence, whatever it was. So you got prepared for that before the day. As you went up in rank, when you became a sergeant, now you're supervising people that in certain sections, you wouldn't, it was a huge complex, the White House. And again, as you move up in rank, there were different responsibilities. So it just like any other organization, any other law enforcement organization, it had the same hierarchy. You went from sergeant, lieutenant, captain, then you went up to inspector, deputy chief, and then chief. So it was, again, just something that you recognize what rank you're at, what your station was, and you just did your job. I mean, we were trained very well, best training, I think, in the world. And it was just something that once you found out, you'd have daily briefings, what was going on, you just go out and do your shift. So it wasn't, was it stressful? Yeah, sure. I mean, I was there for 9/11. Obviously, that was probably the most stressful time that I went through personally at the White House. And there were other times where it was pretty boring. It wasn't, you couldn't, what I want to explain when people ask about the job, you couldn't be at a high level all the time. You couldn't, because you would just burn yourself out. And then I think we could talk a little bit about what happened in Butler, but you can't be at that high level constantly. There's no job out there like that. You could be at that level because you will just actually just pass out. You can't do it. So they would try to give you relief somehow to be at whatever level you were at, where you could at least function and do your job. And that was the most important thing that I passed down to officers that, look, anytime you feel stress, anytime you feel that you can't do your job because you're focused way too much on stuff that may happen, may not happen, you fall back on your training and you're going to get through it. I talked a little bit about this yesterday on a podcast where I told the individual that, the Secret Service has one of the highest divorce rates in the country because we're constantly doing 12, 14-hour, 18-hour shifts, especially during the campaign. You're away from home 25 out of the 30 days of a month, and you get burned out. And it's just human nature. The human body can only take so much. And it was kind of funny. I mentioned to them about the FBI because I worked with the FBI for a little bit, and it was an office atmosphere. And the FBI was 9 to 5. That was it. 5 o'clock. Well, we're going home. I was like, heck, you guys talking about? I was used to working 12, 14-hour days. I mean, it was just our nature. It was just a little different. They're different agencies.
Okay, so transitioning to education, how was the challenges different? How was the environment different?
Well, now you're dealing with children. And when I joined, my son was in 8th grade. He was in 8th grade. So obviously I had, personal experience with him. I wanted to keep him safe also, he was at a charter school. So I had, personal effects of, wanting to do the job correctly. And with 104,000 students, I was the only one. Most of the safety and security departments you see around the country, they'll have a staff, they'll have a secretary, they'll have, president, vice president, whatever. It was just me. So I'm dealing with 140 schools and 104,000 students alone, myself. So I couldn't stand being behind a desk. So I said, well, you know what? I want to go visit every one of these schools and talk to every one of these principals so they know who I am. They know what we want to do. I had to make a safety plan for the county that had to be sent out to all those schools that they had to follow. Here's the basics of what you need to do. And I would go there to these schools. And are you following the safety plan? Yes, we are. Okay, this, by the numbers. Well, human nature, and as you know, a lot of times, because I couldn't be everywhere with 140 schools,
Yeah.
and I'd say, you have to hand in so much or do this. And it's human nature. They would skip things. They would overlook things. I would ask if they've done a drill. And they would say, oh, yeah, we did the drill. So they would check a box. Well, a lot of times then I would go personally to view their active shooter drills. And they were doing them wrong. They would try to get away with, most active shooter drills take 45 minutes to an hour at a minimum. I would go to one of these schools and I'd be there at a high school and they'd be going through the drill. And maybe about halfway through the drill, I'd hear this announcement. Hey, the drill is over. Everybody back to school. We're back. I'm like, what? What the heck just happened? They weren't running the drills properly. A proper drill, just to get your point here, a proper drill is, number one, you make the announcement twice. You have to make the announcement twice. Because you hear it one time, somebody's in a class, and you're only going to hear half the message. You're like, wait, what was that? I thought I heard something. I don't know what that was. You say it twice. We're in an active shooter drill. Everybody going to lockdown, whatever the announcement is, it's an active shooter drill. Okay? So during the drill, you're supposed to be very quiet. The classroom doors should be locked during classes anyways. Throughout the day, classroom doors should be locked. You turn the lights off, close your blinds. You have the children sit on the floor away from the doors and windows. You silence your phone. You do not listen to any announcements, and you do not open that door until the good guys get there with a key. That's it. And you just wait. You wait until someone comes, whether it's a drill or a reel, until someone comes and unlocks that door with a key. So what would happen during some of these drills, they just got tired of it. It was sitting there for an hour or whatever. Well, let's make an announcement and it's over. No, I don't want anyone listening to any announcements, because obviously the bad guy could just make that announcement and start shooting people. So that's what a drill is supposed to be like. You have to take the time to do it. It takes away from education time, from teaching time. It's just something you have to do, especially in today's world. So that was the frustration I had. And the other frustration I had was I did not have autonomy. I could not say, fix that gate, make that lock on the door, change it, do this, put the whatever. I could say it, but I'd have to write it up and would have to go through levels. My boss, assistant superintendent, school board. Okay, now you can do it, which would take weeks, sometimes longer. So that was the other frustration part about it. I didn't have the authority to make decisions right then when I saw something bad to fix it. So that was a frustrating part. And at the end, I kept asking for the doors to be locked during class time, and they fought me. And finally, by the time I left, they finally did it. And most schools now should have the classroom door locked during school time. I know it's a pain in the butt, because teachers will say, oh, wait, Johnny has to go to the bathroom, or this one has to do that. No, tough. Keep the door locked. You're already one step ahead.
Okay. So it looks like school shooting is a really big problem in America.
It's a problem everywhere. The media focuses on it here in America, but there are shootings in Europe. There are shootings in other countries. As you probably know, most of your attacks with knives are in Asian countries, especially Japan. You probably just heard over in China, there was a Chinese individual that killed a young boy who was Japanese. He knew he was Japanese, and he targeted him because he was Japanese, because they're still going back to the Nanking days when Japan, was at war with China. And there's a lot of animosity and prejudice there between the Chinese and the Japanese. You've also got more knife attacks in South America. There were 2 girls down there that were caught with pipe bombs in their backpack. So it is a worldwide problem. It's just not concentrated in the United States. You only hear about it more because the media really emphasizes it over here in the States, but it's a worldwide.
Okay, for us here, we only have simple bullies that can just become punished, and then it's over. We don't have big things like knife stabbing and shooting. Oh, okay. So on your book, the first 5 minutes. So what was the inspiration for this book, and what the key messages that you hope readers to take?
Number one thing, it's a guidebook. It's only 77 pages long. You literally could read that book in an hour and a half. I wanted it concise. I wanted it short. I did not want a 200 or 300 page diatribe, which is going to sit on a shelf and collect dust. I wanted something that was easy to read. You can quickly go to whatever section you need, and it's going to help people. The reason I wrote it after Uvalde, Texas, where they had that incident there where the police waited to go in, that was just horrible. I mean, it was chaotic all the way through from beginning to end. And they focused on the police, but there were other issues that were going on at that school. And at the time, my wife just said, look, you got to write something down. You got to get it out of your head. So I did. And I wanted to make it a guidebook. I did not want to make it a long book that's just basically boring. So in there, what I want people to get from that is what's called implicit memory. And implicit memory is basically you're doing something without even thinking about it. When you get in the car, you put the seatbelt on. When you button your shirt, you're not even thinking about doing it. So that's what I wanted. I wanted the confidence for people to read this book and say, okay, I know what to do. Boom, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. Because no one knows, honestly, how you're going to react in an emergency. You don't know. You may think you'll know, okay, if this happens, I'll do that. Or if this, you don't know. So I wanted them to think, if there's an active shooter on your campus, automatically you flip a switch, and these are things I need to do to have that confidence with that implicit memory. That's why I always ask for more drills. Now, you can't drill all the time because it gets overbearing and it becomes, you blank out. So I suggest at least every quarter you drill. Every 3 months, you drill for an active shooter event. You get in your head, this is what I need to do. I got it down. Now, excuse me. What I did in the book also is these cards. They're called quick reference cards. I have them laminated, but you can download it in the book. These cards act as inspiration because I had a doctor who works in the emergency room, and she said, oh yeah, we use those cards all the time. I'm like, for what? And she goes, for colors. She said, they'll come out with a color purple, a code purple. And I'm looking like, we haven't had purple in months. You have to look what it is. So these quick reference cards have everything from bomb threats, weather, suspicious person, lockdowns. So, because you're always going to forget something. In any kind of emergency, again, no one knows how they're going to react. Some people freeze. Some people go to fight or flight response. Some forget what day it is. And you're going to go through, okay, I think I got a lockdown. The classroom doors are relocked. I must have forgot something. You can quickly go to the card, look at, oh, geez, I forgot to pull the blinds down. It's going to happen. It happens to everybody. So it's something, at least, because most teachers have a lanyard with their ID or their copier card on their neck. And you can easily just attach this. And it's just something, oh, okay, got it. So that's what's in the book. Along with, again, what I wanted people to realize, it's okay to have the confidence to keep yourself safe and the children safe. That was the main focus of the book.
Okay, so in your book, you emphasize on the importance of the past 5 minutes during the emergency. So can you elaborate on why this time frame is very critical?
The FBI, and now remember, remember, most people out there are going to remember, the FBI has statistics, but they go back. They have to look at statistics from years back. So this is going back 3 or 4 or 5 years that they have statistics. Your active shooters, on average, the shooting only lasts between 3 and 5 minutes. That's on average. Some last longer, some shorter. But on average, they last about 3 to 5 minutes. That's why I named the book The First 5 Minutes. During those 3 to 5 minutes, you're on your own. You're on your own. You got to take care of yourself and take care of your children. Now, you may have a school resource officer, an armed school resource officer. They're going to the threat. You as a teacher, you need to take care of yourself and your children. So you're in a lockdown. You're good. You're okay. Everything's okay. The good guys are on their way. But again, you're on your own. So take care of what you got to do. Take care of your children. Help is on the way. That's the idea of not only the 5 minutes that's normally how long it should take, but also during that time, you're on your own till someone comes and opens that door.
Okay, so as part of practical advice, what are some practical steps that the administrators and teachers can take to prepare for potential emergency in school?
The problem, as you know, Nathalie, with teachers, they're under tremendous pressure, especially here after the pandemic. We lost 2 years. My son lost 2 years. I mean, yes, he graduated. Everything was okay. He's in college now. But during those 2 years, we were doing online. They lost all that time. The grades have gone down. Tests have gone down. So teachers are under tremendous pressure now to get the children's grades up. But here in the United States, we also have grades for the schools themselves. They're graded the same way, A, B, C, D, E, F. And if you're a D or an F school, again, you're under even more pressure to bring the grade of your school up, which is an overall grade for the school. So there's tremendous pressure. You're getting it from the school boards, from parents, from principals to say, hey, we need to get these grades up. We need to get these kids taught. So when you throw in safety and security during that time, it's way down the bottom of the list. It is not there at the top. I'll tell you one story. Every year, they have a conference with the teachers right before school, like 3 days before school. They'll have a 3-day conference before school starts with the teachers. Here's what we need to do this year. And they'll have the big screen up there. The only amount of time I got was 45 minutes. That's it. I got 45 minutes to talk about school safety. Now, most people would think, no, wait a minute, that's got to be pretty important. It is. But again, most of the time, and I'm not saying that people still think that, but it's easy enough to think that, look, it'll never happen here. It'll never happen here. We're fine. It's never going to happen here. And I'm sure all these schools that had it happen, they probably said the same thing. I don't care. All I want you to do is be prepared. Like anything else. I just want you to be prepared in case it does happen. That's all. So when I talk to teachers, again, it's just something that it's human nature. Let's say we're going to do a drill and the teachers know in advance that the drill's coming. Okay. As a teacher, already I'm thinking, I got tests I got to do. I got homework I got to look at. I got these tests for the state coming up. I got to get these kids' grades up. Now I got to do a drill. So what are they going to do? They're going to pre-plan. They're going to already turn their lights off, already put the kids on the floor, already close the blinds because they want to get it over with. I get it. I didn't like drilling either. You just want to get it over with. Now, okay, so you want to get it over with. Great. But I want you to learn something. I want you to take away from that this is what I need to do if something does happen. Look, we run fire drills here in the States every month. Every month, schools have to run a fire drill. And it's late. There hasn't been a fire in a school in 100 years because now we've got 4-hour doors, 6-hour walls, sprinklers here, fire extinguishers here. There's no kid going to die in a fire. Yet, every month, got to have a fire drill. So that's rote. That's something that's in your brain. You know what to do. I'm going out this exit. I wait for the all clear. I come back in. That's it. Same thing I want for drilling for active shooters. Doors already locked. Lights down, blinds closed, sit on the floor, quiet. You don't listen to announcements, silence your phone, you don't open the door. That's it. A few more steps, but it's really actually very simple. Now, the pushback. Let's play devil's advocate because I get this a lot. Well, wait a minute. Those kids are sitting ducks. Somebody's going to go in there and shoot them and kill them. Number one thing, no shooter. Of all the shootings we've had, all the way back before Columbine, there were school shootings. All the way back hundreds of years, no shooter has ever breached a locked door. It takes too long, and it's tough to do. I'll give you an example. There was an individual who's a kid up in Minnesota. This was back in early 2000, and he was on a Native American reservation. Whatever reason, it was insane. He killed his grandfather, killed his grandfather's girlfriend. He went to his school, shot the security guard. Saw a teacher, he started chasing her down the hallway. She went into a room and locked the door. He shot at that door with a shotgun. 3 rounds. Didn't budge. Nothing. Didn't work. He went around and finally broke a window and got in that way. They finally caught him or he killed himself, whatever happened. But the point is, he tried to shoot out that door 3 separate times with a shotgun. He didn't get in. So no shooters ever breached a locked door, because it takes too long. There's a great video out there for people that are listening of Nashville, the Nashville shooter. They came to the door. It was a glass door. Okay, busted out the door. All right, they fixed that. No big deal. You see the shooter walking down the hallway testing the doors. It's locked, move on. Locked, move on. Open, I'm going in. They're looking for easy victims. They're looking to get the end game because they know in their head the police are coming. They're dead either way. They've only got a few minutes. Their clock is running in their head. They want to get as many victims as they can. So they are not sitting ducks. They are safe. There's no reason to run out of that classroom at all. To go where? Where are you going? So it's just, it really bothers me because there are companies out there that market this, and their marketing is lockdowns are passive. You're just sitting there, doing nothing. We want to be reactive. We want to do something. Well, I'm sorry, unless you're law enforcement, you're not doing anything. Well, they said, okay, we're going to do it anyways. There's a company out there called ALICE, and it's an acronym. And it stands for Alert, Lockdown, Inform, I think it's Confront, and then Evacuate. I agree. There should be an alert. Communication. Perfect. That's what you should do. Tell everybody what's going on. Lockdown. Perfect. Go into a lockdown. The third part is inform. They somehow think that the schools out here now can look at a camera and see where the gunman's going on different floors and hallways. It doesn't exist. There's no such thing. It costs millions of dollars to do that. So inform out. The third one is confront. We've seen here already from Sandy Hook Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, from Nashville, from Iowa, and even many more. Principals that come out and either try to talk down or confront a shooter, a person with a gun that's already killed or is about to. And they think they're going to talk them down to like, okay, I'll drop the weapon and give you a hug. No, it doesn't work that way because their mind, they're already beyond that. And what happened? They all got killed. Sandy Hook principal dead. Gym teacher Marjorie Stoneman dead. Iowa dead. I mean, it just goes on and on. The other thing they try to do is if there's a big if a gunman gets into the classroom, they expect the children to throw things, objects, books, whatever, at the gunman to distract them. I don't know. It's the honest thing. You're having a child. I don't care what age they're at, even if they're 16, 17 years old, precisely throw something at a gunman all at the same time. For what purpose? I don't understand it. But there's training out there like that. And they'll say, okay, well, just middle and high, it's age related. The little kids, we're not going to have them throw things. It doesn't matter. Gunman's not going to get in the classroom in the first place. If you ever look at the videos, like I said, it's called ALICE. It's an acronym, ALICE. They have an internet. They have a website. You can look them up. There's videos out there that show this. And you have to leave your common sense behind because you're watching this going, well, number one, how'd the gunman get into the class? How'd he get in? Was the door unlocked? Did he, use a grenade to blow it? I mean, how did he get into the classroom, number one? And number two, once they are into the classroom, okay, then it has to be something targeted. It's not an active shooter. This is a targeting situation, totally different. So I disagree with this idea that you're going to throw things at a gunman, but most importantly, I disagree with running out of the classroom. What they're doing now over here in the States, in some areas, not in all of them, they're putting the liability on our teachers. They're saying to the teacher, look, if we have an active shooter situation, you have the option. You can stay into a lockdown or you can run and evacuate. Okay, so here you are as a teacher with 25 to 30 kids, okay? And there's a gunman on campus, and you're thinking you have to make a split decision on whether to stay into a lockdown or run out of the building? Why would you put that liability on a teacher to make a split-second decision? They don't have training for that. No way. Even if I'm a teacher, hypothetically, if I'm a teacher and I don't have a weapon, I'm in that classroom, and I know there's a gunman on campus, but I don't know where they're at. I'm not taking 25 to 30 kids and hustle them out trying to make it to an exit without getting shot. Why? I'm perfectly safe in that classroom. Why am I leaving the classroom? And I'll tell you another thing that happens. You're going to have at least 25% of those kids that are going to say, my daddy's law enforcement or my daddy's military, I'm not going anywhere. I was told to stay in a lockdown in this classroom. I'm not leaving this classroom. Are you out of your mind? So now you got that issue. So I'm going to force these kids to try to run out of this building? For what purpose? Stay where you're at. That's my argument. And it falls on deaf ears sometimes because there are a lot of people that don't like to be passive. They want to be reactive. It makes them feel good to do something. I have to do something to save my children. No, you don't, because you're not going home. You're going to end up dead. So that's the dynamic that we have here in the States between staying in a lockdown, which has been used for many, many years, to something new that we're gonna do something different. We're gonna confront you.
Okay, that was really a lot of insight. So about the active shooter drills, we have orchestrated over 100 active shooter drills. So what have you learned from those experiences, and how can schools improve their preparedness?
I tell you what, Anthony, number one is drill properly, because of all those hundreds of active shooter drills I've done, every school is different. There's no standard. You can't have a standard because every school is different. The high schools, obviously, over here now are as big as college campuses. In order to get around, you got to have a golf cart. That's how big they are. Your middle schools are probably what the high schools used to be, and then your elementary schools are your biggest number. Every school is different. They're built differently. Some are in the round, some are open, some are enclosed. Some have gates. I mean, they're all different. And every one of them you go to, you're going to run the drill differently because it's just when you look at it, when you look at the school. So that was the main thing, is that there's no standardized, okay, we're going to run an active shooter drill, A, B, C, D, here we go. No. Every time you'd go, you talk to the principal and you say to them, okay, we're going to run an active shooter drill. How is it set up? What are you doing? Because the number one thing is, when you run a drill, the reason you're running it is to see all the things that you need to fix. No one runs a perfect drill, ever. I don't want to run a perfect drill. I want to run the drill so I can see mistakes. I've had one time where we ran a drill in elementary school. It was unannounced, and we'll get to that. Unannounced, I like. Some people don't like. Unannounced meaning you walk in today, boom, active shooter drill, go. Everybody locks out. And I had a substitute teacher in one area of the school, and they forgot their keys. So I'm going around acting like the ghost, just banging on doors and acting like I'm a shooter. And the teacher was holding the door, just holding it by herself, because she couldn't lock it. I said, you'll never forget it. You make one mistake, you're never going to forget it. She never forgot her keys again. So things happen, and you're just there to fix them. The same thing happened when I was the Secret Service. You'd have something that would happen, and you're like, well, wait, how did that happen? Well, we made a mistake here, or we missed this, or this. You're just there to fix it. So as long as you can get to the point where you run the drill, and you may have a few faults here and there, but basically everybody, did what they're supposed to do. To me, the perfect drill is, if I go to a school and they're in an active shooter lockdown and I don't hear a peep, as if the school is empty, perfect. I want to go there and not hear anything. All the doors are locked, everything's closed up, lights are off. It looks like the school is closed. That's exactly what I would want, because you're going to have that shooter go through and be really frustrated trying to go through opening these doors. Meantime, here come the police. I mean, it's just something that's what you want. You want that school to be as deathly quiet as possible. And what we run into, here are the problems. Once you get up in grade, you get to middle school and high school, these kids, they take it as a joke. They're fooling around, they're talking, they're whispering, they're on their phones, whatever it is. They don't take it seriously. Look, you got to take an hour out of your day and be quiet and just sit there, close your eyes and practice yoga, whatever. I just want you to be quiet. And I've had many times where I've been in a school with a school resource officer, and he could hear down the hallway, a classroom, loudly. And what do you think that's a signal for? That's where that active shooter is going to go. Your voices, I notice people in there that I can kill, I'm going to go get them. He went in there and read them the riot act. He was an NYPD retired guy. I mean, it was great. I was like, oh my God, I was very happy with his reaction to how these kids reacted. And his main focus was, do you think I want to go to your parents' house and tell them that you died because you couldn't keep your mouth shut? I mean, it was just spot on. And I'm sure these kids never forgot it. So
if you're an e-commerce seller, then you need Outfy to boost your social media game. Outfy is your ultimate social media management tool. It connects seamlessly with top marketplaces like Etsy and Shopify. Imagine automated content creation that churns out eye-catching videos, GIFs, and promo posts. With Outfy, share across Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and YouTube, and reach a wider audience effortlessly. Schedule your posts in advance and let Outfy handle the rest. Track performance with Outfy's analytics tools. Gain insights and refine your strategy. Save time, save money, and grow your business. Many businesses have seen incredible growth with Outfy. Ready to join them? Sign up for Outfy and transform your online presence today. Outfy, efficient, effective, essential. Try it now and watch your business thrive. To support the Daddy Minds podcast, check out Outfy with the link in this episode description.
that's how different dynamic is. It's different because of what grade level it is, and it's different by the architecture of the school.
Okay, so about CPTED principles, how does your CPTED certification influence your approach to designing safe schools environment?
Well, you know what it stands for? It's crime prevention through environmental design. That's what CPTED stands for. And basically what it is when you look at a school during the daytime from the front, not only are you looking at how do vehicles come and go, you're looking at what their landscaping's like. Is it blocking windows? Can they see in? Can they see out? Now it's even daytime, you're still looking at the lighting. You do want to look at night to see about the lighting. And you want to see around the school about the doors, windows, what's open, what's closed. The problem with it is when you run into something like that is I had to deal with architects that were building new schools. So here they are building new schools. Okay, it's great, but they want to use a lot of glass. And I understand they want to let in a lot of light because if you've got a school that has a lot of glass, it looks very welcoming. It's an open atmosphere. You can see in. It's got a lot of light. Well, what that does, it's an easy target for active shooters. We don't use bulletproof glass. That's way too expensive. So they're just going to shoot out the glass in order to get in anyways. So, okay, you want to use glass? Do we need to make them big enough for a human to fit through? Can't we make them small enough so you can still let light in and it'll work? Same thing on the interior of the building. A lot of times these classrooms will have huge, windows to look through. And the reason for those big windows is because they want people to go by and let's say they just want to see what class it is and if they want to take that class. But from the teacher's point of view, it's like they're being spied on. So it doesn't make any sense. And why have such a big window? Can't you make porthole windows that you could still look in, that at least someone can't bust through and go in and hurt somebody? It was, again, it was a bureaucracy that you try to fight against and say, no, don't do it that way because it just gives an opportunity to someone to do bad stuff. So CPTED really just opens your eyes, not only from the exterior, but the interior. But definitely the exterior. The nice thing I had here in my county was we had head plan operators that were on the ball. These are the people that had the keys. These are the people that know everything about the building. And I know for a fact that they would look at that exterior on the outside if the bushes had grown too much, where it was blocking a window, or there was something wrong with the driveway, with the way the cars are coming in. They would have ideas how to fix that. So that's where CPTED helped in one respect. In other respects, sometimes I ran into a brick wall.
Okay. About community involvement, how important is community involvement in creating a culture of safety in schools?
One thing you have to do, Lee, is when you do your safety plan with the school, you have to have everybody involved. You have to have law enforcement involved. You've got to have your social workers involved, your nurses, your teachers, and you got to get parents involved. Now, do I want PTA there all the time? Not necessarily, but I would like the parent to be involved in a safety plan and grab a student, especially if you're middle or high school, not so much elementary. And you get them involved in a safety plan. Here's what we need to do. Here's what we want to do. You got to have some kind of goals. Obviously, how many times you're going to drill, what you need to do with the school. Now, every year, obviously, you're going to sit down and make this plan. Will it change every year? Sometimes. Sometimes not so much. If nothing's really changed at the school, architecture-wise or whatever, you don't need to go through it over and over again. But you definitely want that core group of people, head plan operator, law enforcement, nurses, parents, and probably a student, principal, probably the assistant principal. So you probably got 10 or 12 people that need to sit down and just take a look at it and go over what they need to do. So it's just something, again, it's not a one-person event. It's basically what they call a holistic event with the community, with law enforcement, and with the school system to write up your safety plan.
Okay, so from reports in different situations in school shooting, what is really likely to cause someone to get up from home and go and shoot?
Over here, what's happened the past few years is that mental health is very important. The pandemic messed everybody up. Social media is just, I think, wrong for even children to be on, and the phones. There's still a lot of controversy about children not having phones with them in the classroom. I advocate for it that there should not be phones in the classroom. There's no reason to have phones in the classroom. You're there to learn. You're not there to be on your phone. You're not there to text. You're there to learn. So you take the phones away, that eliminates one issue. Okay. Now, the other issue is the cyberbullying. Years ago, when I was young and when you were young, maybe before the internet, you'd get bullied at school. Then once you went home, that was it. We got out of school, you were done. Nowadays, it's 24 hours a day. Kids are getting bullied constantly, 24 hours a day. That's why you see the suicide rate for girls going up, because they're more in tune with what's going on texting between each other. And it's just a different dynamic. So you're dealing with social media. You're dealing with what happened during the pandemic, trying to catch up. Phones in the classrooms. It just adds to this mental issue where children are just being bombarded with all this stuff, and they need instant gratification. I don't think they do, but once they've got that phone and you get a text and it dings, that's instant gratification. It's just like gaming and everything else. I would ask, it's happening now. I know it's already happening in some European countries. They took the phones away. You can bring the phone to school, you can put it over here, go to class, when you're done with class, and you get your phone. There's no reason for children to have a phone. The only reason they would need a phone is if they're of working age, where they need to get a hold of a boss or something. Maybe they're working for part-time. They need to get a hold of somebody. Other than that, there's absolutely no reason for middle school or elementary school kids to have a phone. Now, it's going to take a while, and hopefully they'll do it in stages. You can't just go to high school today and take the phones away. I mean, the kids will have a heart attack. You got to build up to it. Start at elementary school. Then they're used to it. Then they get to middle school. Then they don't need the phones at all. And you know what? They're going to focus better. Their grades are going to be better. And I guarantee you, they're going to be happier. And they're going to be happier overall without that stinking phone. It really is a disgrace that we're so involved in these phones. I mean, and adults fall in the same pattern. What's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning? You know what it used to be? You'd go to the bathroom and relieve yourself. What's the first thing now? You grab your phone. 99% of the time, you're going to grab that phone and see if you got any messages overnight. It's horrible. It is an addiction. And I know I'm going a little off tangent, but it does have something to do with safety. And the reason I bring that up is I've had bomb threats. I've had active shooters happen, where I went to a school for the bomb threat, okay? I got a school of 1,500 kids, got a bomb threat. From me, it's just a threat. There's no reason to evacuate the school. Here, the policy was bomb threat, we got to evacuate the school. Now, they're going like 1,000, 1,500 yards away. During the time that the police and firemen are there searching for this ghost bomb because it's just a threat, you're going to get stuff over the text from the kids texting their parents and texting each other. Yeah, we got a bomb threat at the school. I thought I saw a backpack with wires sticking out. It was on the second floor. And then another one will go up. Oh, yeah, I saw it over there on the third floor. So these rumors and false sightings come up. All that does is delay it. That's all it does. Because it's false. It's wrong. But they're on their phones and they're texting constantly. And this stuff comes over. So now what do you got? You got all the parents panicking because they're getting these texts that there's a bomb threat and the school's evacuated. What are they going to do? They're going to come and get their kid. So we've got 1,000 parents coming down to the school to pick up their children, when it's 10 o'clock in the morning. No, get rid of the stinking phones. I had another one at a high school here in Clearwater, which is a pretty big city. We had a kid that said, hey, I saw a kid in the bathroom with a gun. Okay, we go into a lockdown. Here come the police. Here come the dogs, all this stuff. We start searching for this kid with a gun. While they're in the school and we're in a lockdown, we start getting texts. Yeah, I saw Johnny with a gun in classroom 2. No, it was Susie. She was in classroom 20 with a gun. This went on over and over again. So what do you have to do? You have to take this stuff seriously. So I got the police going to these classrooms and they're patting down every kid looking for a gun. And you know what happened? The report was false. The whole thing was false. But it got kids out of school for the day. It's like the old days when you used to pull the fire alarm so you can get out of a math test. And that's what's happening with this stuff coming over the phones. No reason. There is no reason. The only ones pushing this are the parents. I need to be in touch with my child. Why? Why do you need to be in touch with them? Unless they've got some medical issue. Why do you have to be in constant contact with your children? It used to be back when I was a kid, your parents want to get a hold of you, they call the school. Hey, Johnny, you got to come to the front desk and talk to your mom. You forgot your lunch, whatever the hell it was. None of this crap where I have to be in touch with my kid. What kind of world do we live in where you have to be in touch with your child 24 hours a day? It's crazy. There's no reason. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but there is something involved with safety and security with these phones when there's an incident.
Okay. I see that a phone is mainly a very, very big problem. For us here in Rwanda and probably most African countries, you don't take a phone at school until you go to university. While you are in primary, you are in high school, you are not allowed to take, not even have it in the classroom, but you can't even take it at school.
Perfect. I wish it was like that here. I really do. I hope they start that way.
If it has been happening for a long time, then it will also take a longer time to make people understand that they have
I get
it away.
it will take a long time. And like I said, you got to start young and go from there.
So about the future of school safety, how do you envision the future of school safety evolving, particularly in light of recent events and societal changes?
I tell you what, Anthony, I can't come on a podcast and say it's going to get better. It's not. It probably never will be better. However, I don't want schools to be prisons. That's the main focus, that we can't make them a prison where it's just locked down with razor wire and nobody can get in. You do want a welcoming atmosphere for guests and parents and children to show up to the school. So you've got this dynamic between keeping the school as safe as possible and keeping the bad guy out. So what we do is what's called a multi-layered approach. All you want to do is slow down the bad guy to give the good guys time to get there and take care of business. So we want 6-foot fencing on the exterior. We want only one entrance into the school during school time. Only one entrance. No other doors open or propped open during school time. They have to come into a lobby that's secure. And what I mean by a secure lobby, it's like a bank. When you walk in, there's a counter there. There's glass that comes all the way down. It just leaves a little spot on the bottom for your paperwork and to pass your information through. And then once you give your ID and you are cleared in, because they're going to go through a system that tells them whether you've got a criminal record, pedophile, whatever it is. You have an appointment? Yes, I do. Okay, here it is. Give me your ID. And you're either keyed in, buzzed in, or escorted in. Otherwise, you're back out. And they're not getting in from that lobby. There's no way. They go back out the way they came if they don't belong there. The other thing is, again, classroom doors being locked during school time. All these things will slow down an active shooter so the good guys can get there. The other thing is, right now, school resource officers. Now, there was a complaint some years back when we had Black Lives Matter and defund the police. They said, oh, no, the children don't want to see someone in uniform. They need a safe space, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, it's a bunch of BS. But you need armed school resource officers in these schools. They are there as an advocate. They are there to keep children safe. They are not there to harass or arrest or create issues between students and teachers and parents. They're there for a purpose. They are well trained. Some of them are trained as only school resource officers. Some of them are trained as law enforcement, and they do this during their job or after work or before work or whatever. So that's the main focus. In the future, yes. Is there AI? Is there technology that can help? Yes. Is technology going to take over the entire school? No. You still need the human factor to do all these things. That's why the drilling helps. The technology is just something that possibly could help. But as you know, technology always fails. Someone can cut the power. Someone can bash out the camera, whatever it is. There's a company out there now that detects weapons. It has to be outside of their clothing, in their hand, whether it's a rifle or a pistol. They can detect it from the cameras on the exterior about as far as the eye can see. They don't really give definitions of the distance. That helps. Once they see the weapon, within a few seconds, they call law enforcement, school goes into a lockdown, they're good to go. However, what's going to happen, like everything else, these shooters are going to find out that, oh, they've got AI weapon detection. I'll just hide it. I'll conceal it. I'll put it in my body or put it in my back. I'll put it in aluminum foil, whatever it is. They'll hide it somehow. I'm hoping as time goes on, there may be something out there. It gets maybe intrusive that will show someone that's carrying a gun, whether it's in their clothes or on their body somewhere. So we're a long way from that. Probably, maybe in your time, probably not in mine. We're talking, 20, 30 years down the road where we'll have that kind of technology. But on the other end, when I talk to a teacher that I know, he's like, look, more likely in the future, there won't be human teachers. There'll probably be robots, or they'll just do everything online. There'll be no reason to go to school. I mean, you still want the social interaction and the sports and everything, but you're probably going to be taught by AI, probably taught by a robot instead of a human. Who knows? But that's way down the road. So right now, the best thing, armed school resource officers, drill correctly, stay in a lockdown.
Okay, so another question. Generally, are there any early signs that we can watch out for someone who is going to be a danger to other people?
Good question. What we've got now and what just started up a few years ago are called threat assessment teams. And these teams will get together probably once a week, and they will have files, kinds of, over here, your files, get into civil liberties. They'll have files on students that have been problems or have had problems or have been more aggressive than they should be or have changed their behavior, whatever it is. That team will be law enforcement, social workers, some kind of mental health professional, a nurse or a doctor, and probably an assistant principal. And they will get together and they will say, okay, last week we talked about Johnny. How are things going with Johnny? And they'll find out. They'll talk to the HBO. They'll talk to the law enforcement person. Yeah, I talked to him last week. Seems to be better. He's better at home. His grades have gotten better. Or he goes the other way. No, he's very depressed. I'm really afraid that something's going to happen. We need to investigate further. However, that goes down the road. But it's a good idea. Will it prevent everything? No. All these, I say all. I can't say all. The majority of active shooters are former students or current students, and they target those schools. So you've got to have somebody observing what's going on. Look, this is not something where a kid wakes up the next day and says, yeah, I'm going to grab a rifle and go shoot up a school. These things are planned months in advance, sometimes years in advance. And they have things on the internet that they're putting on there. They've got things they look at. They've got writings. They've talked to somebody. They've got drawings. They're dressing differently, whatever it is. Now, I understand the thing about it is with teenagers, they're all different. We've all gone through it. You go through these stages, but there are ways to look at them to say, no, Johnny looks a little off today, or Bill over here, there's something wrong. Well, I got to talk to him. And that's all you can do. You talk to him, because we run into areas where if you perceive a threat, can you go into their locker? Can you go into their emails? Now you're getting into areas of civil liberties and civil rights where it's a real fine line to protect that children's civil rights or to protect them from shooting up the school. So it comes down to basically communication. Yeah, it's an old adage, you see something, say something, but you've got to have a mentor in that school that the kid feels comfortable to go into. And I tell these children, you're not snitching. You're not. If you see something wrong with one of your friend of yours, tell somebody, tell an adult, because you're saving the entire school.
Absolutely. So on personal reflections, what personal lessons have you learned throughout your career that you believe are essential for everyone involved in safety management?
I didn't think I'd get into this. After I left the Secret Service, I really didn't think about anything. This is just something that once I got into it, I enjoyed it. I found out I was halfway decent at it, and I got really good feedback. So it was just something that when you find out and you go through your personal relationships, and I find out, I mean, this is, it took this long. You find out that I've got some empathy built in, and that's why I gravitate to helping people. I think that's why I got into the Secret Service. Maybe when I was a kid, I always wanted to be a fireman or a policeman. It's just the idea of helping people. When I first started out, even way before the Secret Service, I worked in customer service. And I enjoyed that. Even though people are yelling you on the phone, saying they're complaining about whatever product you're selling, I understood because I vented. I've been mad about some product I sold that, broke or whatever. And you let them vent, and then you talk to them and calm them down and figure out and try to help them. So it became a personal thing. even when I was in the Secret Service, which was a little tougher to do. But once I got on this job, it came a little easier, where I felt that I was helping people. I got very good feedback, and I really did. I enjoyed what I did, and I still enjoy what I do now. There are frustrating times with it because there are things that I think that are wrong, and my voice, I sometimes say things directly. I don't beat around the bush. This is what you should do. This is what's going to keep you safe. And I do have a few mentors on LinkedIn that feel the same way. So I think I'm doing the right thing. And I hope that people get something out of it and saying, yeah, I need to talk to my kids. And that's the main point I wanted to make with you, NF. Parents need to talk to their children. Years ago, when you're a parent, you're working. Maybe you're working 2 jobs. You drop your kid off at school, you're done. I'll see you later. I'll pick you up after school. Nowadays, you need to know what's going on in that school, not only education-wise, but what's going on with safety and security. Just talk to your children. I don't care. Kids nowadays are always on their phone. You got maybe 30 seconds. Sit them down. Nobody sits down at the table anymore, and ask them, hey, I heard you had an emergency drill at your school today. What is it that you did? Did they have you stay in the classroom? Did they have you run out of the building? Did they have you throw things at the supposed gunman? If you hear anything like that, that makes you feel, that doesn't sound right, that's when you start to have some kind of action. You can talk to the school. You can go to the school board. If that doesn't work, you talk to your state legislature. And if it comes down to it, pull your kid out. I've had it happen where, parents are like, oh no, we're not doing that. And they'll pull them out and go to another school, charter school, private school, whatever. Some parents don't have that option. If you don't, then you better go and talk to the school because you want to keep your kids safe. But the main thing is now parents need to be involved more so than they've ever been, not only with the education, but with this safety and security of what's happening when there's an emergency at the school.
Okay, that's a very nice answer. About having parents talk to their children, from my personal experience, when you talk to children, they will actually tell you everything that is going on in their school. And if there is any kid who is dangerous and kid who is not behaving well, they will probably tell you. And then you can talk to the school administration. Talking to your children as a parent is very important. That's how you can know, even if they have a bad teacher, they're going to tell you, and then you're going to talk to the administration to see what they can do to change the environment of the school.
Absolutely.
So,
yes, great.
So as part of the conclusion, what legacy do you hope to leave to your work, either in school safety activism or in your writing?
No, I don't even think about that, honestly. I don't, it really doesn't matter to me. I started with the Secret Service at the end of Ronald Reagan's term, and then I finished up at the Obama's term. I got to see a lot of people. I got to meet a lot of people, whether they're movie stars or sports stars or politicians. So yeah, was I part of history? Sure. Do I need some kind of legacy? Not really. I'm proud of what I've done. I've had success. Being an alpha personality, that I'm not a perfectionist, but I can't really sit still. So it's something that I always feel I need to do something or do more to just, I keep going. Sitting still, here I am retired, it's not in my nature to just sit and relax. I'm not used to that. But I'm very happy that my son is at university. He's doing well. It's his freshman year, and I would like to think he's proud of his parents. We'll see. He's only, 18? Usually they say it takes till in their 20s till kids start, acknowledging that their parents are, halfway smart and, they should listen to them. So we'll see. But other than that, no legacy. It doesn't really matter. I just really want to my thing is to get the message out. I'm a very small fish in this big pond of safety and security. And the one thing I do want to mention, if you don't know, there is no standardization here. There's no standard test or certificate or acknowledgement that you're a school and safety expert. There is no such thing. Now, I don't want the federal government involved telling me, a test or whatever. So it's difficult because unless someone has a law enforcement background, an educational background, maybe a military background, they can kind of get into this space and get through the experience and become an expert. I don't consider myself an expert. I'm a safety and security professional. I like what I do. I'm pretty good at it. I've had some good ideas. But again, there's no standardization. So I ask that schools be very careful when people are marketing these things. Look, I'm not on here to sell anything, Anethly. I'm not here to sell my book. I'm not here to sell a website or my business because I don't have any of those. Yeah, I have a book. It's like $12. So I'm not on here to make money. I'm on here to send the message. What you should do in any emergency situation like that is in a school, you're going to lock down and keep your kids safe and keep yourself safe. I always say whenever I'm in these podcasts, you always keep yourself safe first. Keep yourself safe first, then you can help others. It's just like when you're on a plane and that oxygen mask drops down. What do they tell you? You put the mask on first, then you're going to be able to help the child or you're going to be able to help the elderly person. So you keep yourself safe first, then you're going to help others. Don't do something dangerous where I'm going to go take care of that person. I'm going to go fight that person. Meanwhile, leaving your family over there, God knows what. Keep yourself safe first, then you can help others.
Okay, so we have had an hour of a very nice conversation, and you are probably one of the best guests I have ever had.
Thank you.
Yes, because you have a way that you explain things very well in a very understandable way than most of the people that I have had. So I really thank you very much for joining me today, the Dad Minds podcast. And you're the first person I have had a conversation with for an hour.
Okay, yeah, I could talk about this for a couple hours. I would waste your time. I'd bore you to death. Can I ask you, I know you're over there in Rwanda. Does your broadcast, is it broadcast here in the States also?
Our main audience is in the United States because, for us here, podcasting is something that is very new. So we are using most of the US platform.
Okay.
So which means that if we do a podcast, it's available on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and all the other platforms.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. And I'm glad I was a guest and I appreciate your time. And when you have it finished, I'd be glad to put it on my LinkedIn page. I'm on LinkedIn. I have a Facebook page, The First 5 Minutes. And then, of course, my book is called The First 5 Minutes. It's on Amazon. And I look forward to the final product. And like I said, I'll get it on there on LinkedIn. And I appreciate your communication, all the emails that were reminding me. And I made it. And I had a good time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you very much, Daniel. I forgot.
Daniel's fine. It's okay, Lee. It's all right.
I'm gonna take one, Daniel. So thank you very much for joining the Dad Man's podcast today. And really, that was a lot of wisdom we've shared with us about the safety management, especially in the school environment. So I really thank you very much for joining me today.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
If you're an e-commerce seller, then you need Outfy to boost your social media game. Outfy is your ultimate social media management tool. It connects seamlessly with top marketplaces like Etsy and Shopify. Imagine automated content creation that churns out eye-catching videos, GIFs, and promo posts. With Outfy, share across Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and YouTube, and reach a wider audience effortlessly. Schedule your posts in advance and let Outfy handle the rest. Track performance with Outfy's analytics tools. Gain insights and refine your strategy. Save time, save money, and grow your business. Many businesses have seen incredible growth with Outfy. Ready to join them? Sign up for Outfy and transform your online presence today. Outfy, efficient, effective, essential. Try it now and watch your business thrive. To support the Daddy Minds podcast, check out Outfy with the link in this episode description.